Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Three Secrets Every Adoptive Family Should Know. I'm Kim King, and I'm here with Heather Featherston, and we're excited to bring you this adoptive family webinar from Lifetime Adoption. Now, if you are new to Lifetime and haven't filled out your free application, please be sure to do so at lifetimeadoption.com. If you are a family that is already working with Lifetime, of course, you have your 2 monthly exclusive webinars that are different from this webinar, but you are more than welcome to hang around and spend the next 30 minutes learning about these three secrets that every adoptive family should know. Lifetime Adoption is a private adoption agency. We are licensed in Florida and Arkansas, and our most typical adoption is a healthy newborn baby that you match with the birth mother. She chooses you, and then you travel to the hospital, and that's where you meet your baby and birth mom for the first time in person. Although typically in our adoptions, you'll get a chance to get to know each other a little bit prior. So, just to help you understand who we are here at Lifetime, we are a licensed child placing agency that has helped thousands of families nationwide. And we're excited that you are spending this time together with us to learn more about adoption and how to be successful on your journey to the child that God has for you. During our time together, if you are attending live, you are welcome to type in your comments, questions, and feedback live throughout the webinar, and you can do so through your questions box in your on your screen there if you're joining us on screen. If you're just listening and listening maybe via app and maybe you're on your commute, please be sure to email us your questions later. My email is kim@lifetimeadoption.com. And Heather, with that, we're excited to spend this time together with families who have decided to prioritize their adoption education today. So thank you for being with us as well.
I'm happy to be here. In fact, I think it's really kind of cool how this webinar came together. You and I were just chit-chatting here a few weeks ago about, the things that adoptive parents really, well, I should say successful adoptive parents really know and have an understanding of, if not right at the beginning, then soon after they're in the process. And we just decided, well, let's do a webinar about that. So I'm super excited because I think these are great things to share. And the more you know, honestly, the better prepared you are when it is your time to adopt.
Absolutely. And this next 30 minutes is going to fly by. And if you
Mhm.
have some questions that go unanswered or are on a different topic, as I shared, please be sure to email those to me, kim@lifetimeadoption.com, or you can give the office a call at 727-493-0933. And with that, Heather, let's jump into secret number one. I mean, the word secret, it just makes me want to know what else there is to say. Like, what's the rest of that sentence, please? Like, it's so tantalizing and intriguing. The first
Really.
question and secret that we want to answer for you is how families are really funding their adoptions. And Heather, I know this is paramount on the minds of adoptive families, whether they are at the point where they're just encountering possibly some infertility challenges and are thinking about adopting and are discovering the cost, or they are perhaps families that are already home study ready, working with an agency and still seeking to build their adoption fund. People want to know how families are really funding their adoption. So, Heather, give us all the secrets.
Well, I think first and foremost is learning about the options out there. And one of the awesome things that we offer families here at Lifetime Adoption is access to an adoption finance coach. And that is someone who that is their whole focus here. It's a service that we provide. There's no additional cost. And Kelly and the other coaches on her team, they work with families individually on things like grants, um, loans, telling your story, which is part of getting a grant, identifying the grants that and loans that families might qualify for. Um, they have, in fact, we just did a meeting with them last month, and in the last year, the families who they worked with raised an average of $19,000 each, which is we were all really taken aback because that is a significant amount of funds that have been raised toward their adoption. And these are real families just like you who have really jumped into the finance coaching and taken advantage of what is out there. Really, there are a lot of resources for families who will take the time and who are open to coaching to learn. One of the other things that we really help provide an understanding for is the adoption tax credit. And that is what is it, Kim? About $16,000
Hmm.
now?
Yeah,
Uh,
nearly
and
17. Hmm.
right, and that's real money. Um, so there's a lot that goes into helping families with that financial aspect because it is very common to look into adoption and all of a sudden realize, wait, no, we didn't know the cost. So
Hmm.
we really want to provide that help and assistance. And there's many other options and opportunities out there, like employer benefits. That's a big one. I spoke with a family just this week who told me their employer offers up to $40,000 in reimbursement. And many families don't know about employer benefits as it comes to adoption because they aren't talked about very much. So it's one of those things that we also like to help you find. I'll call it hidden money, money that and resources that may be available to you that you just may not yet know about.
And the key takeaway here is that you don't need to feel alone or stuck financially. I would like to give you one job. The one job that you need to complete is to make sure you're not alone. And you can do that by taking your next step, whether it's with Lifetime or another adoption professional you've chosen. If it's with Lifetime, you need to fill out your application. If your application is complete, then you need to schedule your phone conference or video conference if you've been invited to do so. And so that way, you're going to be tapping into the support and resources that Lifetime provides to our families. And we can go into a little more detail about your circumstances personally and let you know what more about what to expect from the adoption coaches. And they have been such a game changer for our families who had no idea how they were going to fund this or how people do this. And that is just such a secret ingredient to adoption success.
It really is, and I love, Kim, that you gave a real next step. And if I can give a piece of encouragement here, it would be, don't get stuck on the finances. There are resources out there, and one of the great things about working with coaches who specialize in adoption finance coaching is that they have the knowledge and they have the connections. They know the people at the grant organizations, and they really can help more than striking out on your own.
Mhm. And Heather, moving on to secret number two. And
Secret number
you are
2.
so good. And now we see a picture on our screen. It's what birth mothers are actually looking for in adoptive parents. And I was going to say, Heather, you are so good at helping families understand this. Not only have you been working with our adoptive families for many, many years and have helped them create wonderful profiles and given them feedback on their videos and encourage them to keep taking their next step so they're actually able to say yes when a birth mother
Right.
chooses them. But you have worked hour after hour, 24/7 over the years and decades with birth moms through
Mhm.
your on call work that you do, not to mention just your daily life in the office working with birth moms. So
Mhm.
you are one of the best people at Lifetime to share what birth moms are actually looking for in adoptive parents.
And this is another place not to get stuck. I'll just lead with that because I think adoptive families come into this process, first off, maybe not fully understanding that in modern adoption today, it is the birth mother who chooses the adoptive parents. That sometimes is a surprise for families, but that just is what adoption looks like today. She chooses the parents. And what she looks for isn't what you may think. And, the reason I mentioned getting stuck here is once you understand she chooses, then you might go into that place of, well, would a birth mother choose me? Would she choose us? And that's why I love to share what birth mothers are actually looking for. I will tell you right up front, she is not looking for Barbie and Ken. She is not looking for a big fancy house. She is not looking for perfection. Because remember, as she chooses you, then what comes next is you have to accept her and her baby. So she also, just like you may, be feeling like, "Ooh, are we going to feel judged here?" She feels the exact same way.
Mm.
So she often is going to look for, first off, someone she feels will accept her. She is looking for a connection, something that feels familiar to her. And and then that often can be having something in common. It can be the fact that maybe you look like her favorite aunt. It can be that, when she hears you speaking in your video, it's an accent or a way you pronounce a word that, that feels like home, like family, like connection. That feels authentic. That feels like someone she might want to get to know. That's what they're looking for. And, in saying all those things, it's good to also understand, at Lifetime, we help and guide you through, trying to show that in yourself, trying to show, who you are, what makes you different, what makes you unique, what is it about you that, a birth mom might identify with. But there's also a importance that we try to stress of having quality photos, of putting effort into getting what we call action shots, um, of using that 2 minutes in your video really as an opportunity for that personal storytelling. So like I say, we coach you on kind of what to show and how to show it, but also we really want to stress the quality has a place here too, because, I'll give you a little tip here. Families, the worst thing you can do when you're putting together a profile for a birth mother to see is scroll through your phone and look at what pictures you have. You need to be intentional about telling your story, and that means that you're going to have to take photos. And for some people, I get it, it feels a little uncomfortable. And for some people who already have kids, I'll tell you right up front, you know, it's not going to be all those photos of your kids. Birth mothers, they're looking for connection, they're looking for parents. They're not looking for, your cute children. They want to find parents, and parents who they believe will provide a loving, supportive, nurturing, safe life for their child, the life they want their child to have that they can't provide right now.
Exactly. And can I just do a little bonus segment, Heather,
Sure,
about
sure.
let's just undo some of the myths you might have that you're thinking, is this going to stop me from getting chosen by
Mhm,
a birth mother?
mhm.
And these will all be things that we have helped many, many families over the years, even though they had this characteristic and it was not anything that held them back. So families want to know, will she pick us even though we have a child or children? Yes, we have helped
Yes.
many families over the years that are already parenting.
Mhm.
Will she pick us if we already have a biological child and we're
Yes.
experiencing secondary infertility or adopting after loss of a biological child? Yes, absolutely. We've helped many families that have had this path bring them to adoption. Will she pick us if we don't own a home, if we live in a condo or an apartment or another, maybe less traditional house dwelling?
Mhm.
Yes, she will. All you have to do is make sure it's home study approved, meaning it's to code and there's a room for the baby. And will she pick us if we're already in our 40s? Won't she think we're too old? Not at all. Most adoptive parents are in their 30s and 40s. When it comes to the world of adoption, refreshingly, I can share with you, you're not too old. You're in the normal age range of adoptive parents.
Great.
So, yeah, so parents have, if we have dogs or don't, if we live in the country or the city, or we live in a small town, we live in a big town, we live far away from the nearest big town. Birth moms pick families with all of these characteristics. So these are not things that are going to prevent you from being picked. But feel free to still ask us. Feel free to ask when you're on your call or send us a text if there's something troubling you. Get it off your chest and let us walk with you through that and share if we've had the experience of families being successful with whatever it is. And it is totally normal to think that there is something about you that will keep a birth mom from picking you. But actually, the biggest thing that will keep a family from getting picked is just them standing in their own way. But I
Right.
know that you can take your next steps. And because you're on the webinar today, you clicked it, you registered, you showed up. You're someone who has what it takes.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I think really the key takeaway here is as you can understand this, as you can understand adoption from a birth mother's perspective, that will kind of help you realize what she's looking for, you know.
Hmm.
And again, it's that authentic connection.
That's right. And the more you can have just so much practice in being yourself, the better you are to be just so genuine when you do get a birth mom interested in you and you hop on the phone or video call because you're confident in who you are. And that authenticity is something that can't be copied or bought. It is just uniquely who you are. And, run with it, run with who you are, and let your adoption professional coach you through that as well. If you're a little insecure about something, like maybe you have some sort of physical disability or a medical condition, let your coordinator help you navigate that and how you'll bring it up. Oh, another one, Heather, employment status. I work from
Oh yeah.
home. I don't work from home. I work full time. I don't work full time. One of us works, the other one doesn't. We both work. Hopefully someone is working or you have some assets to help provide for the child. But your work status is not something that is going to prevent you from getting chosen. I know a lot of people wonder about that.
Right. And I think too, it's just good to know, even if there's something that you may feel a little self-conscious about, like living in an apartment. You know, if you're looking at other adoptive parents and they have big yards and big houses, you can feel a little self-conscious or less than, and that's okay. Just voice it. You know what? We have helped families. It's really about not being someone you're not, but it's about showing the positive aspects of who you are.
Another factor to keep in mind is birth mother point of view. You
Yes.
know, when she sees what you have built in your life, it's aspirational for her in most cases.
Mhm.
She has not gotten to that point to where maybe she's able to have, the same home for more than a year and able to make ends meet without really stressing and getting into survival mode and working multiple jobs or relying on, staying with other people. She looks at what you have and how you have, stability in your job and you have a stable relationship and you have faith and you have a family support around you and friends around you. You're not in survival mode. You have hobbies and interests that you're able to nurture, and you are ready at this point in your lives to focus on and pour into a child. It's not just all material, but the choices that you've made and the blessings that God has brought to you have resulted in a construct, a material construct that you look around and you can touch and feel and live in, and there's a roof over your head. And a birth mom just most likely isn't entirely there yet to where she's, like Heather said earlier, able to provide the life that she wants her child to have. And she's looking at you and thinks you have it made, you have a great life. So just remember that there is, I would say it's all relative.
Yes, absolutely.
Secret number three, the one trait successful adoptive parents all have in common. Heather, what is it?
You know I'm gonna say, I know we have one, but as I was sitting here listening to you, I'm like, there really is two. So I guess you get the bonus second trait. First off, and and kudos to you for being here tonight. The first trait that successful adoptive parents have in common is they take the next step. And the reason I mention that is because it's not just getting started now. Once you get started with an adoption professional or you get started with Lifetime, that's not where it ends. You have to get started with a home study, which you have to keep moving on. You'll have to get started with your profile, which you'll keep moving on. Successful adoptive families realize that it is not a make a decision and it happens. Adoption is a process, and it takes really one step after another. Lifetime's founder, Marty Caldwell, she famously said when she was adopting, she would work on her adoption a little bit every day and then put it away because she knew that's what she needed to do to keep moving forward. And that little bit a day may be filling out a big form for your home study. It may be, getting some photos for your profile. It may be when you're in the waiting phase and everything's done, it may be just reading about how to, talk to your child about adoption. It may be doing any number of things to prepare. But that is one very important trait is keep moving forward. Don't give in to that fear. Don't give in to that that place, that thing of it's overwhelming, it'll never happen. No, it will happen. It happens every single day. You just have to keep moving to the next step. The other trait that successful adoptive parents have is flexibility. Flexibility is so crucial in adoption. And when I say flexibility, it can it can manifest itself in many different aspects of adoption. For me, when I talk about flexibility with adoptive parents, it really has to do with understanding that in adoption, one of the things that adoptive parents, especially type A adoptive parents, can struggle with is feeling like they aren't in control. And that's a reasonable. You're waiting for a birth mother to choose you. For your home study, you're waiting for a social worker to come and do her thing. There's things you are not in control of. You're not in control of the time frame. So being flexible and understanding that you may have a vision of how adoption looks in your mind's eye, but the reality is it may look very different, and staying open and flexible. Let me give you an example. You know, we recently had a family who was matched with a birth mom, and there was a due date. Her pregnancy was going along great. And, they had planned to travel a couple days before so they could, meet her and spend some time together. And they did that. And her due date came and went. And now it kept going, and the family's there, and they're there for the birth of the baby, and the mom wants the adoptive mom in the delivery room with her, but it's still not coming. Baby, they had this plan that, the baby was going to be born on the due date, and then a time frame would take place after that. It's like, nope, babies are born when babies are born. And their expectation was not what happened because of the time frame. And they were flexible. They realized that it's not in their control. And the husband actually flew home and worked for a few days and then flew back, and he had plenty of time. But it's just one of those things that staying flexible, realizing that, um, babies also come early. That same exact scenario, the baby could have come 2 weeks early and their plans and expectations would have been out the door. So, it also applies to being flexible in your adoption preferences. And I understand that I'm certain families have preferences as they come in for age of child, race of child, gender. Um, you know, we all have those choices. And certainly we encourage families to make those choices, set your preferences. Families who are more flexible, who understand that, you know, again, it's really easy to check the boxes. Okay, I'm open to this, I'm open to that. But there can be gray areas in every single preference. Let me give you a great example for families who are, maybe they're open to newborn to 3 months old, right? And so we're working with a birth mom who may have shown some interest in a particular family when she was pregnant, but then decided no, she's going to go ahead and parent. Okay, she parents. So she calls when the baby's 4 months old saying, you know what, I made a mistake, I need to choose adoption. Do you think the family I was interested is in would consider this? We go and look at the family's preferences, and they're 0 to 3 months old and this baby is 4 months old. So here we are now in this gray area, which here at Lifetime we typically will call and just say, this is a little outside. What do you think? But understanding that it's great to check the boxes and set the preferences, but know that, you know, it's not black and white. There are so many shades of gray as you move through adoption. And that knowledge and staying flexible, it really is so valuable. And there's times that the answer may be yes, it may be no, but knowing that, you know, we do our best, every adoption professional does their best. And but life happens. So if I could stress upon you any one thing as you embark on an adoption journey, it would be the more flexible you can be, the better prepared you'll be when you start to go through the process and realize that, it is a lot of nuance in adoption.
Mhm.
It's not black and white.
And that flexibility, think about a rubber band and how it can stretch. A rubber band sitting there on its own with nothing touching it and nothing happening to it can hold a certain amount. But then a circumstance comes along and a pair of hands comes along and starts stretching it a little bit. And think of where you are in the process of growing your family and how you've had a vision. Let's recognize that in your mind, all your life, you've had a vision of what your family will look like and how you will become a mom and dad. And for a lot of people, that's very specific and naturally very limited to a biological pregnancy and having a biological child. And now you've come to this point where maybe you've encountered some challenges with having a biological child. And so adoption becomes a path to parenthood that you are now exploring. And now that vision, okay, we've recognized that we have that vision. Now that vision needs to stretch a little bit. And when you stretch that rubber band, it has the ability to hold more than that rubber band ever thought when it was sitting there on its own. And that's flexibility.
Right. That's a great way to put it, Kim. Really great. And and so the key takeaway here is the more open and adaptable you are, the sooner your opportunity will come. And that really doesn't sound like that goes too much with flexibility, but it does if you think of it in regards to preferences. The more open families can be with preferences, the sooner their opportunity will come. And also, the other trait I mentioned about keeping moving forward, the more you're able to move forward, the next step, the next step, the next step, the sooner your opportunity will come. I know for years when I started, I did, as you said, Kim, I worked with families on their profile. That was my first job in adoption. And I will say, I would work with families who would say, "Oh, you know what? We're going to get those pictures this weekend." Okay. And I'd check with them the following week. "Oh, we had too much going on. We're going to get them the following weekend." And you know what? Every week that went by was another week further away from the child God had from them for them.
Mhm.
If a birth mother can't see who you are, she can't choose you. And so really keeping that flexibility, keeping that adaptability to the process, keeping all those things in front of you moves you forward, moves you closer to your adoption.
And I will say a bonus secret to success for adoptive parents is engaging with an adoption professional, such as
Mhm.
with Lifetime. We're here to guide you through every step of the way. It's literally our job. So, literally, it's our job. So, be sure to reach out, engage with us. Tell us if you're feeling stuck. Ask us what's my next step. Say, we'd love to pick up where we left off, or we need to get this restarted, or we're new, but what do we do? And you can connect with us. You can email kim@lifetimeadoption.com, especially if you want information about the process of adopting with Lifetime. I'll get that right over to you. If you are brand new to Lifetime and haven't filled out your application, or maybe it was more than 6 months ago, you are welcome to fill out Lifetime's free application at lifetimeadoption.com. I always ask families, what was it about Lifetime that you really liked or made you decide to apply with us? And they said, after looking around, we really appreciated your free application. We also loved that you're Christian based, you're founded by an adoptive mom, and we loved how clear the information was to follow. So, those are just a little bit of feedback from other adoptive parents who have been researching and deciding who to apply with. You're welcome to fill out that application. It does not obligate you. We haven't talked about this on a webinar for a while, but filling out our application here at Lifetime does not mean you've made any official decisions about for sure adopting or with Lifetime. It just means you're open to having the conversation, and it allows us to walk with you through some of these things that you need help and support through as you continue taking your next and next step. So be sure to fill that out. If you've already filled it out, be sure to take the next step with your coordinator that has been assigned to assist you. And we appreciate you so much for taking the time and spending this last 30 minutes with us. And just remember, we're here to walk alongside you every step of the way here at Lifetime Adoption. And these are the moments that change everything. All these tiny choices and steps that you take change everything for a lifetime. And we'll see you on the next webinar.